Welcome to the Double Down podcast with Dr. D. I'm Dr. Paula Daleman, a triple board certified MD with a passion for helping you thrive at every stage of life, from your first steps into wellness to navigating menopause like a pro. Whether you're tackling weight, mastering menopause, or leveling up your health, this is your go-to space for transformation. It's time to double down on your health and your life. Let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to my first episode of my newly created podcast, Double Down with Dr. D. Our first episode is going to be part of a series of talks about midlife and menopause. I call this group of episodes Menopause because we're reclaiming the power on this transition in life. I am Dr. D, Dr. Paula Daleman, triple board certified, a Latina in perimenopause, and a big believer that authenticity, it has to be part of your life, and that your best investment it's in your self-care. So let's start with today's episode about midlife and how midlife is not just something that it should be seen as a decline, and more seen as a transition, and even better as a blossoming in life. To understand better why society sees midlife and menopause as a decline, we have to go a little bit back in history. So what's the role of us as a women through history, right? We can go back all the way to hunters and gatherers, where we actually were very important. We will stay behind, taking care of the community and the children, giving education, while men were hunting and being the food providers. Through the years, with the militarization of different empires, due to lack of physical strength, women were just relegated to mainly home tasks, which kind of made sense at that point. But when in time we were just losing more and more our authenticity, our creativity, and our freedom goes through the periods where paternalistic type of societies took over. And it was towards the Renaissance, and you would see some of the women figures getting a lot of attention, but most of these women were monarchy and high in society, so they were recognized for their art. But it was a very specific period of blossoming for women. After world wars, again, militarization, women, we start losing our freedom again, or our importance in society. And it's not until the big feminism movements that we were shown light again on how important we were for society. And that the latest one, which is the second big feminist movement, falls into 70s, 80s, coincides with how society starts seeing menopause, perimenopause. And the industry that it has a lot to say on that was the pharmaceutical industry, which is very interesting. So they were the one who started giving the foundation of how menopause should be seen. Now, that to say, that depends on the culture. In different cultures, menopause is seen different. And let's just bring up the Japanese culture, where menopause is considered a period of transition towards wisdom, which I love that thought and that concept. So the Japanese konenki concept of women being very wise, and a lot of other Eastern cultures that will create this space for more of a matriarchal kind of society. And it was mainly given to the aging women. Those women that already didn't need to be worried about the offspring or raising children, but instead they will be the persons to go to for any type of advice, which it was very important role. But everything shifts, especially with this industrialization, and especially in the Western side, right? Our countries, where most of us we are right now. And with some of, unfortunately, very intellectual, but maybe misleading type of scientist. Sigmund Freud started defining hysteria as the women's mood fluctuating and not being themselves. There was a physician called Charles Lapierre de Lagardin, which totally considered menopause as a deficiency on something. So it was already creating that world of menopause is a disease. And Freud reinforced that concept of menopause being part of neurosis and emotional decline. And slowly towards the 60s and 70s, the pharmaceutical company jumps in and said, menopause is a disease. There is a deficiency of something, so let's replace it because we do have the fixing problem for these neurotical, hysterical women. So this is how we all finish 40 years later here, and 40, 50 years later, we are trying to make a shift again and start understanding that this is not a decline, it is a revolution. And there is a lot of positive, empowering reasons to go through this transition. So, giving you that background on menopause, then the next is like taking advantage where we are right now in this specific time in our midlife. And instead of being a midlife crisis, maybe we can see it as a midlife enlightenment on where I can use those past experience as a reason today for transformation and continuing life and creating, because I can use a totally new episode podcast showing you how your brain can be rewired, and even your right brain can be wake up again, because our right brain is pretty alert and conscious during our childhood, because we love to imagine and create, but unfortunately society and all the responsibilities makes that half part of the brain to go dormant during our adult years. Then now it's time to go back to create and be playful and tap onto that right brain. So that transformation, that change in hormones is not, the word decline is so diminishing that I would love to take it out of the vocabulary when we're talking about menopause, perimenopause, and transition through midlife. And I'm here to empower you because there is ways to create and there is ways to tap into our new imagination and our new way to see things. And this is, it should be also like a community work, like a teamwork between all of us together. Being on the same place at the same time, the same boat, we are all going to move forward in this process. All these new skills that many coaches are trying to teach someone who is in the process of achieving a specific goal that they need support are easier to apply when we are in this moment in our lives, because we don't care as much as before what other people think. We already kind of passed that moment. So that's a pro from our side, because we'll be able to act without thinking, was the other person judging me, or was the other person going to do against, or what if something is going to be wrong. So that's a skill that we're already gaining, just tapping into this konenki Japanese concept of renewal years. The next step is just like proactively, let's get creative. Let's get creative, find for outlets, learn a new skill, and your mindset, right? You're less in that moment, in this moment in age, we're less, let's say, hyperactive. Our mind is not like jumping into different ideas all the time like it was more prominent during our youth years. We are more settled. Our brain matures, so we don't have that need to be moving physically, but also psychologically from one thought to another thought as much as when we were younger. So we can use that as let's create a mindset, and having extra time. Hopefully we do all can find extra time. Hopefully we're in a moment in our age that we might going to be more in control of our time and what we can do with it. We create the mindset, and with that mindset, a goal in mind and clear goals that we can start working towards. All these is giving us a purpose. And with a purpose and something fun in mind, we start writing our next decades, which I call it, now that I'm 51, my second half century coming up, because I want to see it as an opportunity, and I want to see it as something fun, like the trip of your life is coming. So let go of societal expectations and embrace where we are right now. Let go of those negative narratives around midlife and menopause, perimenopause, and deficiency, decline. And let's put some time and energy, prioritize self-care, mental wellness. Let's forget about the taboos. We don't care. We don't care anymore. Remember, we don't care. And let's also create a community, helping each other. No, I'm here to help you. No, I'm here to help each other and revolutionize. It's little sand, it's a little grain of sand, but together we'll make an awesome beach. And continue listening to my episodes, and see you next. Thank you for listening to the Double Down podcast with Dr. D. If today's episode inspired, empowered, or gave you a fresh perspective, please don't keep it a secret. Subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to take their health to the next level. Stay inspired, stay committed, and I'll see you next time.